Let's hear from a key member of the United States Senate right now. We're joined by Republican Senator Dan Sullivan. He serves on the Armed Services Committee, represents the state of Alaska. Senator, thanks so much
Good to be
for
back
coming.
on the show.
What's your understanding, Senator? Where does it stand at this moment? I'm sure you've been well briefed.
Yes, well, right now the Democrats' position continues to be the same one, which is unless there's a DACA deal by tonight, according to their terms, they're going to move to force a shutdown of the government. That's where they've been. So right now, it seems it is in the hands of Senator Schumer and his colleagues, and I'm hopeful that they'll see that that's not a good way to go.
But that would be a relatively simple way to avert a government shutdown and move on if, for example, the compromise proposal put forward by your Republican colleague Lindsey Graham and Dick Durbin, other Republicans and Democrats, were simply attached as an amendment. You want the Dreamers to be able to stay here in the United States in any case, right?
Look, I think getting a deal on immigration is important. But Wolf, the key issue on that is we have time. We do have time. Where we don't have time is with regard to the government. So tonight at midnight, the government shuts down. Your program is doing a good job of saying, here are all the Americans who are going to be hurt. In particular, the military is going to be hurt. Our veterans are going to be hurt.
But you have to compromise with the Democrats because you don't completely control the Senate. In this particular case, you need 60 votes. You have 51.
Correct.
Senator McCain, unfortunately, is still recovering.
Yes.
He's still dealing with his cancer, so he's not going to be here. So you need Democrats. And in Washington, to get a job done, you got to compromise.
Well, look, I think there's going to be compromise on an immigration agreement. And to be honest, we've been actually making good progress on that, but that's taken some time. We need a legislative solution. As you know, that has been something that Congress has dealt with for almost 13 years without a solution.
So they don't necessarily want comprehensive immigration reform. If you listen to Lindsey Graham, they just want a short-term deal to allow the 800,000 or so DACA recipients to remain legally in the United States.
Well, we've all talked, and Lindsey has been focused on this, an outline of a deal that would include a resolution, a permanent resolution for the DACA recipients, border security, and some of the other immigration-related issues. But again, the point is we have time for that. What is the challenge right now is we don't have time on the funding side, and to have Senator Schumer and his colleagues say, hey, take the deal right now, or we're going to force a government shutdown. That's something that even in 2013, Senator Schumer said he was not in favor.
I think what Senator Schumer is saying, you know what, do a 4 or 5 or 6 day extension so the negotiations can continue. Would you be open to that?
Well, look, right now we have a short-term extension in front of us,
4 weeks.
which is short-term, which would give us time. By the way, the extension we have in front of us also addresses another big bipartisan issue that the Democrats and Republicans have been talking about, a long-term solution to CHIP.
The Children's Health Insurance Program.
Yes, sir.
It's a 6-year extension, which is very important. Republicans support it, Democrats support it, and it's good in that deal. But apparently to the Democrats, that's still not enough.
Well, it's a little ironic because a lot of my Democratic colleagues have been talking about a full long-term extension of that program. Millions of Americans have been worried about that program, which expires in certain states. We have the opportunity not just to not shut down the government tonight, but actually bring resolution and comfort to millions of Americans who've been worried about CHIP as well. I think my colleagues should vote for the deal, and then we get back to the drawing board, back to the negotiating table on DACA.
Why have you waited on the CHIP is bipartisan. It's supported children's health insurance. You want poor kids to have health insurance. 9 million kids are potentially affected. Why hasn't that been done before? Why couldn't it have been done in a separate piece of legislation over these many months?
Well, look, I thought it should have been done before Christmas, so I agree with you on that. It should have been done as part of the CR.
Because the Republicans have been using that as leverage on the Democrats to support this extension to avert a government shutdown.
There's been strong bipartisan support for CHIP.
The Democrats really want the CHIP.
It was a Senator Orrin Hatch and Senator Kennedy bill that got it going in the first place. So that's another opportunity that we have tonight. It's another reason, in my view, that the Democrats should support the CR tonight. We get CHIP. We get more time to negotiate a not even comprehensive deal on immigration, a deal that's satisfactory, and we don't shut down the government, which is going to hurt a lot of Americans.
Certainly will, and I've lived through several of those government shutdowns. You have as well. We know the impact. What's encouraging, I must say, the president did invite Chuck Schumer over to the White House for a private meeting in the Oval Office, and then the president, just within the past hour or so, tweeted, "Excellent preliminary meeting in Oval with Senator Schumer, working on solutions for security and our great military, together with Senate Majority Leader McConnell, Speaker Ryan, making progress. 4-week extension would be best." So he is deeply involved.
Yes.
If there's going to be a deal, he's got to sell it, especially to conservative Republicans in the House. That's probably where the big problem would be. But he's very sensitive to his role as president. Listen to what he said years ago, back in 2013, when there was a shutdown during President Obama's administration.
And the president, in all fairness, he's the leader. He's the one that has to get everybody in a room and get it done. They're not going to be talking about Boehner and Reid and all. They're going to be talking about President Obama and what a disaster the administration was. So he does have a lot of pressure to get this problem solved. He's got a big problem.
That's what he said then, and I assume he still believes that. That's why he's, at least at this late stage, getting so personally involved.
Well, I think it's positive that the president is involved today. But the truth of the matter is, right now, as we come to this deadline, the decision whether or not the government's going to be shut down is really in the hands of Senator Schumer and his colleagues. I'm hopeful that they're going to support the continuing resolution.
And I know you, Senator. It's in the hands of both Republicans and Democrats. The Democrats want certain things. The Republicans want certain things. In a situation like this, you got to compromise.
Well, we're going to compromise on immigration. There's no doubt about it, Wolf. But like as I mentioned, we have time to get there. That's a complicated issue. It's taken Congress many, many years, still haven't been able to address it. But what we don't have time with regard to tonight is we're running out of time in terms of the government, in terms of funding the government. I don't think moving forward with a government shutdown is going to be in anyone's interest. I'm hopeful, again, that we, in the immediate hours tonight, that we're going to get that kind of compromise so we don't have a government shutdown, and then we'll work through these broader issues.
A lot of your constituents in Alaska, and I've been to Alaska, they're either federal employees, civilian employees, military personnel, or they're recipients of the federal government. How do you explain to them this level of chaos that's currently going on here in Washington?
Well, look, this is another reason I'm so focused on making sure we don't have a shutdown tonight. It's going to hurt a lot of Americans, particularly our military, federal employees. But there's a broader issue here. The system with regard to our budgeting, our funding, I think is clearly broken. The other thing we have to do is look at long-term reforms. There's a number of the new senators, led by Senator David Perdue from Georgia, I'm part of that group, looking at ways to make sure that we don't keep doing these CRs, we don't keep doing these omnibuses at the end of the year that are these massive spending bills, and we do it in regular order. We're trying to get Democrats interested in these long-term reforms. But tonight, the most immediate thing is to keep our government open and not shut down the government. And I'm hoping that my colleagues in the Senate, Democrats and Republicans, will agree and we pass this CR in a couple hours.
A lot of us are hoping that because those of us who have lived through these government shutdowns here in Washington and elsewhere know the pain that's going to be suffered as a result and the enormous cost to American taxpayers down the road, loss in revenue, loss in the economy. So it's a big, big deal. Good luck.
Thank you.
Senator Dan Sullivan of Alaska.